Welcome to the #Attitude Shield podcast, the true mental operating script rewriting program designed for those looking for a change from within. No more hype or sugar-coated promises. This is to-the-point guidance on how to change the way we think to grab the life we always wanted. Are you ready for the change? Now your host, David L. Parker.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to #Attitude Shield, the mind operating script rewriting program. I'm David L. Parker, and I am glad you're here. It is a beautiful morning, as you can tell by behind me that the sun is up, it's bright, it's barely past 6 a.m. because you know what? I like being up at this time. As a matter of fact, I've been up for quite a while because I'm not a big lay around in bed kind of guy. I'm just not. I hope yesterday was a fantastic day for you. I hope that you watched and or listened to the Wild Wisdom Wednesday with Eric Jackson. We talked about being present in the moment, and I wanted to talk to you today a little bit more about that. I also wanted to talk about fighting. The two are connected. What to fight for, when to fight, how to fight, why to fight. Speaking of that, yesterday, May 12th, which is actually the day I'm recording this, is always a hard day on me. Because if you know me at all, I was in the military for 22 plus years. You know, the orders when I retired said 22 years, 7 months, 21 days, but who's counting? Oh, yeah, the government. On May 7th, 2007, 14 years ago, a tragedy hit one of the units that I was part of, 431 Infantry out of Fort Drum, New York. And in my 22 years in the military, Fort Drum, believe it or not, was my favorite duty station because of the unit, because of the people. I worked with some of the most amazing soldiers in the military, and they're still with me today. Anyway, we lost a lot of friends that day. We lost a lot of people. I think back about it a lot, about being present in the moment and not allowing myself to be pulled back to this too often. But I have to give it the respect that it's due. And my friend Dave Connell died, and a lot of other soldiers. And some soldiers went missing, Specialist Jimenez and Private Foudy. Terrible, terrible day. Anywho, I think about Dave Connell because him and I coached football together. Used to go to his son's wrestling. And it was just one of those days. It's tough. It's tough when you have a memory like that, when you have something grabbing you and saying, you know what, remember me, let's go back there. Let's stick this hand in the past and this one in the future. And, you know, basically, as I said yesterday on Wild Wisdom Wednesday, crucify today because we're so busy thinking about yesterday or the future. But I respect and those men, and I miss them, and I want to live a life worthy of their sacrifice. See, so many people today are just so out of touch with anything that it takes to do anything that it takes. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how much people can be just out of touch. We're so busy wrapped up in our challenges. We're so busy wrapped up in our problems, and why wouldn't we be? Whose problems would we be wrapped up into? Whose? If you're not wrapped up in your own problems, who are you wrapped up into? Bill's? Whoever Bill is. I mean, it's just hard not to be wrapped up in our own problems all the time. Of course we are. But we have to learn to fight. We have to learn when to fight. We have to learn how to fight. We have to learn how to do certain things that make things better for us. We have to learn when to stand up and when not to stand up. We have to learn how to stay present in the moment and learn how to be just ready to go when it's time to go. I got a buddy down there in Texas. Him and I go back to 2005, 2004. He was a football player, and I happened to be the coach. Years evolved, and we ended up coaching together. But I think about the fights that he picks And I got to give him credit down there in Springtown, Texas. Got to give him credit because he always seemed to pick the right ones. You know, I started to succeed like him. We both started to succeed when we started leaving small fights for small fighters. The little baloney fights, the little nothing fights, the little who cares fights. You ever watched a couple or been part of a relationship where somebody argued over nothing? Well, what time are we leaving? 6:10. Well, I want to leave at 6:15. Blah, blah, blah. What? Or it gets in the way of your own success because you're not fighting to be successful. You're fighting the moment because you can't see where you're going. You can't take a look at what you're doing. You just get wrapped up in this crazy emotion. It's the difference between reacting and responding. When we react to something, we're always acting. In other words, we're acting out versus responding. And inside of responding, you can say there's pondering. I stopped fighting those who gossiped about me, those who talked shit about me, those who ran their mouth about me. And my buddy down there in Springtown, Texas, he understands that all too well, because when him and I were part of an organization at one time, the gossip, the shit talking was incredible. Can you imagine, run down a bunny trail, having one of the most successful little organizations in a certain area of life, being around for 100 years, and you're so pathetic because you destroy yourself. You're so worried about your own title, your own victory, your own glory, that you never, ever spend any time building for the future. I mean, the organization just continues to go on because tradition keeps it going. But can you imagine fighting everybody tooth and nail to keep this delusion of whom you think you are, because you're not willing to really take a look at who you are, right? It's sort of like fighting with your in-laws. Now, I myself, thank God, haven't had to deal with that in, holy crap, 20 years? Yeah, about 20 years. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't had to deal with fighting with an in-law in 20 years. So, but I remember what it was like. I remember what I still remember, because some people just scar your mind, right? They're so into whatever they want to do, they just tear you apart. You know what I stopped doing? I stopped fighting for people's attention. You watch the YouTube channel, listen to the podcast, or you don't. You get something out of hashtag #AddisGO. Do you learn how to talk to yourself, or you don't? I'm not going to fight for the attention. People say all the time, why don't you spend $1,000 a month on advertising? Why don't you just share it on your Facebook? Share it on your social media, and then we'll figure it out from there. You know what? I stopped fighting to meet public expectations of me. Who's the public to decide whom you are? Who gets to decide what you are? Right? You do. You're the only one who gets to decide who you are. Your self-worth is not connected to anything the public expectations want to talk about. I mean, if I was worried about public expectations, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of the camera with hair halfway down my back and a beard, looking like something out of an Oak Ridge Boy video. But I said for many years while I was in the military that my target was to retire after 20 years, grow my hair, grow a beard, and live a life that was worth my buddy's sacrifice. So I stopped fighting to meet public expectations. I could care less. I stopped fighting for my rights with stupid people. Stupid people are like, it's like playing chess with a pigeon. They dance around the board, knocking all the pieces over, shitting all over the place, and then they tell you they won. It's sort of like talking politics with certain people today, of certain different kinds of way of looking at things. They They refuse because the news says this organization is a bunch of this. They refuse to think for themselves. It's sort of like arguing with somebody who says the science is settled. Well, that's the biggest bullshit line in the history of the world. Name one thing that we think as human beings that has held true throughout time when it comes to anything we've discovered scientifically. Please, I'll wait. Oh, that's right. You can't. You know, when you fight with stupid people, you should stop. And you should leave those fights for people who have nothing else to fight for. There's so many people out there, these social justice warriors today, that are so lost in the sauce. You're fighting a fake fight. Who are you fighting? You're fighting somebody's opinion? How in the world? Why would you spend your time fighting their opinion? Why would you spend their time? Why would you spend your time, your precious time, not being present in the present, not looking out your window and seeing this beautiful sunrise and this amazing pine trees and it's green. You can see out my windows. It's just turning brilliant green here in the Black Hills. It's springtime. Why would I be out fighting for something that somebody else said I should fight for? As in, well, I think we shouldn't wear that color t-shirt. I stopped fighting for people's time. You know what? You don't want to text me. You don't want to call me. You don't want to send me an email. You want to wait until I do it to you. Okay, I'm not fighting for your time anymore. I already did that. I fought and fought and fought and fought. I mean, heck, that goes all the way down to our family. I got a daughter who literally for the last couple of years, the best I've been able to do is text. She don't respond ever. She's got some idea of who she thinks I am based on some crap she did. You know, that's one of the things I stopped fighting. I stopped fighting people's view of who I am. Maybe that's like public expectations, but I don't think so. This, you know, my oldest son and my oldest daughter lives in Germany with her family now. And my oldest son is in prison. And that's the two boys that we adopted, his sons. But they have this image of who I am that's 30 years old. And it's taught to them by people who don't like me. I'm not going to fight that anymore. Not going to do it. Because you know what's funny about the people that do that to you? They're the ones, believe it or not, that usually are doing exactly what they tell you the other person did. It's always very entertaining. I want to run down a bunny trail. I literally, younger years of my life, got accused by an ex. This is what I'm talking about, not fighting, of being a drug dealer. And my kids believed it. I promise you, I was never a drug dealer. Ever. Anywho, after years of hearing this crap, I finally took the kids down to the police station, pulled my police record. What, I have joyriding on a motorcycle? All right. Then I pulled hers and her arrest for drug dealing. Now I realize right now you're going, holy mackerel, really? And I'm like, yeah, this actually happened. So there's a lot of people out there, and I stopped fighting these people, and I want you to use your attitude shield to block these people away from your attitude, block these people away from making influence on you. Because a lot of these people are lying on you because they're saying what they did. People love to twist what they did into what you did, and I stopped fighting those people. Hey, if you're enjoying the show, would you mind buying me a cup of coffee? There's a link right down here in the description. Buy me a cup of coffee. I'd appreciate it. And if you don't want to buy me a cup of coffee, or you do want to buy me a cup of coffee, how about you help me spread and impact people? I want to, if we can both impact one today, and then those 4 of us impact 2 tomorrow, that's 8. And if those people impact somebody, that's 16. You see how this goes? Before you know it, there's 7 billion people that have been impacted, right? Isn't that what we're looking for? 8 billion people to be impacted? But share it on your social media, share it on your Facebook, share it on your Twitter, share it on your whatever it is you're using. Share, share, and share. And let's build this hashtag Attitude Shield community big, shall we? Let's build together. Let's share a cup of coffee. Buy me a cup of coffee. Let's share a cup of coffee. And let's impact people. What other thing is there? What other amazing thing is there to do? Well, let's get back to fighting, right? Stop fighting with your in-laws. Stop fighting for little fights. Stop fighting for stuff that makes no sense. Stop fighting for things that just drain your energy, because exactly what does that accomplish? And start fighting for your vision. What is your vision? Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you up to? Where are you going? Where are you going? Start fighting for your dreams. What are your dreams? Do you have a dream? Martin Luther King said he had one and he shared it and it changed the world. Maybe yours will be the next one that changes the world. And if it doesn't change the whole world, it'll change your world. And if it changes your world, it will impact other people. It's just the way it works. You can't throw a rock into a pond and it not make a splash. You can't live your dream and it not impact other people. Just like you can't be the opposite and not impact other people. Start fighting for your ideas. Start fighting for what you believe in. Start fighting to help people have a better life. But before you do that, make sure that you get to know what they want. Right? Start fighting for what your destiny is. That final, ultimate target lifestyle. We've talked about this in success before. Nobody gets to tell you what successful is. You want to be a multi-billionaire? Then go be one. But money ain't going to buy something. Money can't buy you success. People who say, well, I'm not successful until I make all the money. Well, maybe that's for you. Because I know plenty of people where 7 and 8 figures that are miserable is still fighting the small fights. Right? The day I gave up on the small fights is really the day I became successful, or my success started to multiply. It started to grow. It started to become tangible because I wasn't wasting my time fighting things that don't make no damn sense. You can't fight your significant other. All you can do is try to impact each other. You can't fight, every morning, the boys get up about 7 during the school year. We get up, they go in the kitchen, they have breakfast. Now, getting their breakfast ready, doing their morning stuff, there's 2 ways to do this. You can do the big fight or the little fight. The little fight is to nitpick every little thing, right? This bowl, this chair, this cereal, this way, this spoon, this much milk. Don't talk to your brother. Stop talking that way. Don't kick the dog. Whatever. Or you can just sit back and go, they're up on time. Breakfast is done on time. And what happens in the middle doesn't matter. As long as we're not slinging knives and lighting the house on fire, it doesn't matter. It's what's between the two is the small fight, see? And that to me is the most important thing about what I'm trying to tell you, is the big fights, the dreams, the targets, the destinies, the impacting of people. That's the big fight. The little fight is what t-shirt you're going to wear. The little fight is listening to some bullshit on Facebook that's making you miserable because you're offended. You know what changes when you're offended? Nothing. Being offended, according to hashtag Attitude Shield and rewriting your mind script, doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. Nothing happens. It's a little fight. Being offended is a little fight. Being impressed, being motivated, being guided, being enlightened by what somebody says, that's a bigger fight. And see, that's the higher level of these offended things, when people say they're offended because they heard this or they did that or they did the other thing. And I'm like, so you didn't get enlightened by their information. Sort of like I'm working on my master's, right? And I go to one school and they don't like things that I did in the past. They don't like certain credits. Okay, I'm working on my master's. I have 1 semester left of my bachelor, if you will, and then I'm into my master's. So I'm making sure that I'm prepared for my master's. But one school is like, no, we don't like this. And another school is fine with it. And they cost less. So which fight do I want to fight? Do I want to fight the little school, or this first school, if you will, about their policies? Is that a little fight or a big fight? Now, a lot of people go off and fight that fight. Oh, you didn't give me what I want. We're going to fight. Waste of time. Or do you shift to another opportunity, same degree, same outcome, same time frame, same everything, but one of the fights on this side is going to help me finish that master's degree, and on this side it's just going to cause a lot of stress. For what? That's not a fight. That's not a fight worth fighting. Shift gears, go the other way. Shift gears, go the other way. Stop fighting little fights. I watch people jockeying sometimes. I'm not here in the Black Hills anymore, but I remember there was a Sam's Club by where we lived in Colorado Springs. And I'd literally watch people jockeying for what position in line they were going to be at the gas station. And when they didn't get exactly what they wanted, they got all kind of upset. Really? You're fighting to cut down on the few minutes it's going to take to get some gas, but you're still stuck in a job you hate. You're still hanging out with people that are negative and pulling you down. You just don't recognize it because you're not taking care of your inner circle. You're in a relationship you shouldn't be in. You didn't do what you wanted to do. You haven't accomplished your targets. You're not living the life you want, but you're going to go fight for 30 seconds of your life at a gas pump. Small fight. Diddly nothing. Diddly nothing. Stop smiting. Stop fighting small fights. They're not worth it. They're not worth it. Can you hear me? Stop fighting small fights and fight for things in your life that are worth fighting for. Fight for that lifestyle you want. Fight for that life you want. Fight for that place in life you want. Fight for anything, but geez, don't fight little stupid stuff. The other day I'm driving down the road. We're going to wrap it up today on this, and I'm driving down the road. I'm driving down 14, and I got my cruise set on, and this guy is literally jockeying with me for who's going to be in front on this road. And he speeds up to go through the corner, and I just leave the cruise on. But he doesn't leave his on, so slowly I catch back up, and then he hits the gas, and he takes off again to go around the corner, and I'm smiling at him because he keeps looking over his shoulder. I can literally see him looking in his mirror when I'm behind him or looking over his shoulder when I'm next to him, and he's literally jockeying to win this race. Now, there's a little fun to that. We didn't really race because I was not going to fly down a mountain road full of deer. And we both got to the exact same destination, dropping the kids off at school at the same time. But he fought a little fight. And by the time we were dropping off the kids, I could see him looking in his mirror, shaking his head. He was all frustrated at me because he picked a fight with me in his mind that I never got involved with. I watched him fight himself. Are you fighting yourself? I hope not. It's not time to fight yourself. It's time to fight the good fight. The good fight is, what do you say to you, and where are you going, and where's your success? I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have an awesome, awesome day.
You've been listening to Attitude Shield, your double dose of espresso for your attitude. Check us out on Facebook and on the web at www.attitudeshield.com. Again, thanks for spending this time with us. Between now and when we talk again, keep those shields up, eyes on the target, and always be moving towards your dreams.